helped Homer farm in the bottom, lived with Homer, and even after him and Mary, he still continued to farm there for a while,
one
didn't
year,
he?
wasn't it?
I don't
One
know.
year.
And then they bought a farm down by Mount Sterling in Brown County, and they moved down there. And then after Dad retired from the farm, and then he moved back to Dad's farm and farmed it for a while.
And he died of skin cancer.
Right.
And then Aunt Mary kept farming for a couple of years after Uncle Lloyd died, as I remember it. She, no, she didn't?
No, she sold out, and she moved to Havana, and she worked at the elevator.
Yeah. Let's talk about Uncle Homer.
He lived down in the bottom.
Uh-huh.
Sangamon.
You married Aunt Opal?
Well, when he come home from the CC's, is when him and Opal started going together. They had never gone together, but him writing home, she worked at the post office, and somehow or other, they got together through the mail. And then when he came home, they got married right away.
And he was pretty heavy
When he went.
when he went into CCC's and came back pretty slim.
Yes.
So I didn't know him. He got out of somebody's car out the road and started walking up to the house, and I didn't know him. 'Cause he was bigger than Lyle ever was, or Virgil. When he went into CC's, whenever he come home, he had a layer of fat hanging down on his belly, just skin hanging down on his belly, that fur. Just a loop of where his stomach could. Well, he was a nice looking man whenever he come home. And he was skinny too.
Well, he got real heavy later on, again, after he was married. But then when he got sick,
He had
before
stomach
he
trouble.
died, yeah, he had stomach trouble. He got thin.
I remember Uncle Homer, when he had his colostomy, you know, he had a colostomy toward the end there. And he and I were out in the field. Must have been, I'd come home for some reason, and we were together in a pickup truck, and we were waiting in the field, and he had that baling hay, and he had that colostomy bag, and it would fill up with air. And he said, Richie, he says, you might want to get out of the truck, because I got to empty this bag of air. I said, no, it's all right. Well, he emptied the bag, and I got sick, because the air in that bag was so strong. Yeah. I told him that was the worst fart I've ever smelled. That was Uncle Homer. I remember Uncle Homer, we'd have fish fries, and he had trouble because he couldn't eat that fish. Yeah.
He had an esophagus problem. You'd be like 3 days without food.
Talk about Charlie.
He went to Peoria.
Butchering.
Yeah. Went to Armour's. Got him a job at Armour's. Well, I think he worked there till he was moved down to Mason County.
Was he working at Armour's when him and Ruby were married?
Yeah.
I think he was in Peoria right up till after the war, and because I was born when they lived down in Bath in '48. Dad and you, Uncle Melvin, and Uncle Roscoe, you and Dad married sisters, and Uncle Roscoe married the other sister, and that was the connection between the Lascelles and the Schmidts.
Parents were relation in the first place.
Cousins, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Roscoe was Mom's nephew.
And he started going with Aunt Gladys.
Kept it in the family.
Kept it in the family. And then, is that how Dad and Mom met? Through Uncle Roscoe?
I imagine, because they all run around with Thorn Lindsley and Florence Bennett. They said they was a little old hamburger joint. Now that it was back in hard times then too, because they could get 12 little hamburgers for $1. and they'd go get 12 of them hamburgers. They was Orin and Florence and Charlie and Ruby, Gladys and Roscoe. They had 2 hamburgers apiece.
You talk about pork and beef eating, but a lot of the meat you ate was game,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And
I don't ever remember having a turkey at home. Do you?
Well, Mom raised some live.
but
Yeah.
you hunted squirrels quite a bit.
Yeah, us boys, one time we decided we'd go squirrel hunting. We had 2 shotgun shells. So we gathered up our tools. We gathered a piece of barbed wire about 6-8 feet long. We took a hand saw, not a hand saw, a 2-man saw, crosscut, an axe, and a good squirrel dog, and we went out squirrel hunting. Well, whenever we come back, why, we had about 18 squirrels, and we still had our 2 shotgun shells. Charlie, he could throw a stick, and he could either hit the squirrel or hit close to him, and we'd get that squirrel to jumping, and we'd holler at him, and he'd jump out on the ground, and the dog would get him. So, what didn't jump and go into a holler tree, we'd run 2 or 3 squirrels into a hollow tree, and we'd block the hole, saw the tree down, chop notches in that tree, saw across it, and chop out a block. If the squirrel got out, the dog got him. If he stayed in there, he got down. We'd try barbed wire first. We'd take that barbed wire and we'd twist it. You kept twisting it around. We'd get it wrapped up in his tail, and then we'd pull him out. Well, if we had 3 or 4 in there, well, maybe we could get all 4 of them out. We wouldn't have to chop down the tree that way. While we was hunting, we would look for bee trees. And if we found a bee tree, we would mark it. And that winter, when it got cold, we'd take a couple tubs out there. We'd watch it all summer, make sure them bees was working good. And we'd go out there when it got cold so the bees wouldn't sting you. We'd saw that tree down, chip out chunks where the honey was, put it in them wash tubs. If it was dark, Mom, she'd put it in something and kind of mash it up. That was older honey. Fresher honey would be lighter in color, and she'd heat it up and we'd take it out of the comb. But in the lighter honey, we'd leave it in the comb and we'd eat it, cone and all. That's where we got a lot of our sweets.
Used it on biscuits
Anything.
And you used the wax.
bakery. Yeah.
Oh, no, sure he did.
You'd eat the wax.
That other darker, why it was well, sometimes it'd have a dead bee in it or something like that. And after you smashed the juice out of them, it didn't taste as good as that new honey. I was skinny then, a lot from now. I could climb any tree that had barks on it. Any tree that had a bark on it. If Charlie couldn't throw a club and knock a tree or a squirrel, get the squirrel out of the tree, I'd climb up to the tree and I'd shake the limb and he'd fall out on the ground. But if he started jumping, most generally they would go to the holler tree and we'd maybe run 3 or 4 squirrels in that tree before we cut it down.
But you could climb up and shake the limb.
I'd shake the limb and shake it. And well, Charlie, a lot of times when we was going through the timber, he'd throw clubs, squirrel nest. Squirrels would hear us coming, and they'd run in their nest. Well, he could throw a club and hit that nest, and it'd scare the squirrel out. A lot of times we did. And if we didn't get one that way, the dog would soon treat one. I mean, it'd just go and bark until we come there. And he'd wait for us to jump that squirrel out on the ground. If you got on the ground, it's goodbye. Dad's killed whenever he was a young man, well, he wore out a number 12 shotgun, 12 gauge shotgun. He would feed all of these corn crops. He was a farmer, Dad was. And we would take out a truckload, not a truckload, a wagon, half. They'd take the top rounds off the wagon. The bed was 28 inches high, I think. And cut it in half in two. Take the top part off. And we'd go out and we'd chop a half a wagon load of corn. We'd fill that full of corn, break it up in little pieces, and we'd take that out to the pond. Dad made a pond, and he'd take the engine that we pumped water with over at that pond. He'd start that engine of a night, and he'd take that corn out to the pit. He had 3 pits around that line. He had little, regular little decoy ducks, English cars, he called them. And he had a pond there, and he had some geese in there, and he had hunters from Chicago, and he got $15 a piece for each one of them hunters. He'd guarantee their limit. Some of them guys from Chicago couldn't hit a duck, so he'd kill if he'd let them shoot so long, and he'd shoot ducks along with them, and he'd guarantee their limit, and they'd only get to shoot so long. Then he'd have another bunch of hunters in. We'd have hunters all day long at $15 a piece.
Well, that was quite a bit of money.
And then what they didn't take, he always had a bunch of them he'd killed himself. We had a granary that we stored grain in, and we had a nail like that far apart on the walls of that granary on both sides of the driveway. And we'd take a bind of twine, and we'd put 5 ducks in a bunch around their neck, and we'd hang one on each one of them nails. And I've seen that garage full of ducks. And there was a guy from Bath, he'd come out there and get ducks, and he had a brand new car, Oldsmobile car. And he didn't have no seat in it. And he'd give Dad $1 for every 3 ducks he'd take. And he'd fill that car plumb full of ducks, just stack them in there like ears of corn. And he'd take them to Chicago, and the next week he'd come back and then get another load. 3 ducks for $1. And he'd take them to Chicago. I don't know what he got from Chicago. It didn't make any difference. Dad was getting his $1 out of them.
Dad was making money.
And the corn that he had sold would have sold on the market. People, that was back in dictation time, you could get 10, 11 cents a bushel for it. And Dad was getting 35 cents a bushel out of that corn, feeding it to the ducks.
He would put corn out in a row, straight row, and get at the end of it and wait till the ducks came in.
And they had 3 pits around the pond, and from them pits it run like the pond was in the middle of them pits, and he'd run that corn like this so you wouldn't be shooting towards another pit. And they'd line up on that corn, and he had a shotgun with a sawed-off barrel in it, only about that long. And you would aim it down that row of ducks, and you'd go out there and pick up a whole sackful.
With 1 shot.
2 shots, double-barrel shotgun. One time there was a game warden supposed to come. We heard there was a game warden going to come and check Dad for ducks. So we took all them ducks out of that granary and took them out, and he had a great big hog feeder that he'd made out of lumber. He had the whole, a lot. So we packed all them ducks out, put it in that hog feeder.
Hide 'em.
Wouldn't hide them. Whenever the game warden come, he never thought about looking out in the out
In the hog feeder.
in the hog feeder for ducks, and Dad only had a lemon hanging out in the garage, so. Never did get caught, and that was really illegal, but that was one way you wasn't living on the county anyway.
Yeah.
That was very important.
Staying off
Oh,
welfare.
yeah. Oh,
Oh, my dad had too much pride for that.
well, a long time ago, we took a team of horses, and there was a lot of rabbits then, and they'd cut a bunch of timber, and they'd had great big wood piles. And there was a lot of rabbits around this where they'd cut that timber off, and they was hiding in them wood piles, but in the wintertime they'd go out and hide in grass around them wood piles. If you jumped a rabbit, he'd run right in and go in them wood piles and you couldn't get him. But we got a whole half a wagon load of rabbits. We hung them on the clothesline, grease them up, and then you could have rabbit for a long time.
Aunt Venus was next. She was the first girl in the family. And I'm sure Grandma was happy to see her come along. I remember Aunt Venus because after my mother died, she and Patty came out and lived with us for a while. Her and Dad couldn't get along for too long. They didn't last too long, but I always remember Aunt Venus very fondly. Have any stories about Aunt Venus?
Her first husband and her separated. She lost her little boy at about 3, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't she move back with the Dwayne Ramsey was that little baby's name.
Dwayne Ramsey.
And Donna. And didn't they move back with Grandma and Grandpa?
Yeah.
And Grandpa got really attached to that little baby, as I remember it.
Yeah. And Lyle was very attached to him. He had stomach trouble. They had problems with him when he was a baby, with his milk and stuff.
Aunt Venus married Jesse Barrett, Patty's father. And they had 3 children.
They separated.
The next child was Vida.
She died at 7 days old with the flu. So Vida was born in 1919. She died on the 23rd.
Then Uncle Lyle was next, born in 1920. Of course, he was pretty close to your age, Uncle Melvin. There's a picture somewhere that has all of you out in front, and Uncle Lyle's got a finger bandaged up.
When he was a freshman in high school, and the kids were out for track, and track and in sports, and he was going to show them how to throw the shot put. And there was a big lead ball, about, I think it weighed 16 pounds then. And he was a big heavy boy, and they thought he'd be good at putting a shot. So he was out showing the kids how he was going to throw it, and he was standing on the sidewalk, and it had rained, and whenever he started to throw that shot put, why, his feet slipped out from underneath of him, and that ball fell right on his thumb and just smashed it flat on the foot. Now, Lyle was a jack of all trades. He tried everything. He was one about like Wilmer, Uncle John. Went into all kinds of business. He sold produce.
Jack of all trades and master
He
of none.
farmed, he raised ducks, he had a regular circus down to his farm when he lived on their bath. He had little donkeys, he had geese, turkeys, pigs, cows.
Didn't he try to
Chickens,
raise mushrooms?
Bannies, rabbits. He just decided one day that he was going to well, he'd been up to Princeton or Princeville or someplace up there where they raise mushrooms, and bought some. And he decided that he could raise he could raise them. If they could raise them, he could raise them. So he came home and he filled his basement full of that, I don't know what it was, manure and stuff, and got that seed and planted it, and he never raised a mushroom, not a one. I don't know if he ever got the stuff out of his basement or not.
Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah, they had fruit down there. He'd go down south and get peaches.
Peddle them, sell them, and what he could, and what he couldn't sell, why they'd can.
They'd can. And then I went down there to help him with his pump one day, and the basement was full of canned peaches, apples, green beans, pickles, anything that they get their hands on the can, it was full. And I said, well, you ought to use some of this up before you can anymore. Well, he said, if you can't sell it, you can't let it go to waste, you have to can it. So they'd buy more jars.
He said, you want to see chickens with sunglasses on? And I said, what do you mean chickens with sunglasses? So he took us out, kids, and he had chickens, and I guess he had some sort of thing so they wouldn't peck each other. And they looked like sunglasses, and all these chickens were running around with sunglasses on. Uncle Lyle was quite a politician.
He thought he was.
Thought he was. When he died, didn't he have a pin on it that says, I'm proud to be a Democrat or something?
Probably. I think so. I think it was in the casket, wasn't it?
He worked for the Secretary of State. I remember one time when I came home from the Navy, he always wanted me to come see him. Well, he talked me into coming down to his office. And he said, when you come down to visit, he said, wear your uniform. It'll make me happy to if I wear my uniform. I'd never been to his office down there before. So I wore my uniform, and I came into his office, and it was a long place, and his office was down like a glass cage down in the middle, and I had to walk down, and there were secretaries on either side of this aisleway. Well, I started walking down there to see Uncle Lyle, and the cat calls and the whistles. My face turned red as a beak, and Uncle Lyle's down there just a giggling when I got down there. He had such a kick out of that.
One time he had a bunch of chickens that laid different colored eggs. I mean, they're purple, and they're blue, and they're yellow, and they're green, brown.
He always had a scheme, didn't he?
Yeah.
Making money.
Uh-huh.
Dad used to say he was
Wheeler
part
and dealer.
Jewish.
He what?
Part Jewish.
He was enough to be Uncle John, or like Uncle John, to be Uncle John's kid.
Uncle Virgil became a Baptist minister and lived in several different states and ended up down in southern Illinois.
He was the only one that graduated from college in the family. Frankie and Melvin and Virgil graduated from high school. All the family.
Dad said, if you don't go to school, you got to work.
Everybody had a chance to go to school, but
He said, if you want to go to school, I'll
it wasn't
pay.
easy. We walked 3 miles and a quarter to grade school,
Country
to a
school.
one-room school.
Whenever I started
It was
to
hard.
school, it was cold one day, I can remember, and Homer and Charlie was grown men almost. But I remember after we got away from home, we had got on flat ground. We lived in a hollow. The house was in a hollow at home. You wouldn't know the wind was blowing.
So
But
you went
go
over that
the
hill.
Whenever you went over the hill, why that wind would hit you in the face and you'd freeze to death. I've followed them to school many times. Walk right up behind them, keep warm. And I'd be a bawling before I got to school because I'd be so cold.
In the wintertime, once in a while, Dad would take us. He would have a box wagon, a wagon box, and he'd put it on runners and have a horse take us to school. The boys, they could outwalk me, and I'd get mad at them, sit down on the road. They'd carry everything I had. They'd carry my books, my dinner bucket, and my coat. But my land, walking in them ruts, ankle deep in sand, I'd get so tired, and they'd do anything to get me to come on, you know, come on, come on. I'd get mad at them, and I'd just sit down on the road.
Pass the time, walking back and forth to school, you'd get a hedge ball. When we went through the hedge, we'd pick up a hedge ball. We'd kick it. You see how far, who could kick that
Hedge ball, the fire.
hedge ball, keep it lasting. And you could just keep a kicking that till it just kept a piece of it fly off.
Get real soft.
It'd get so it wouldn't even roll.
Now, did you like school as far as that goes?
I never did.
I am.
But
Went to
you
school 'cause
graduated
I
from
had
high
to.
school.
Well, they finally let me out, I'd say.
I never did. I hated school. I hated school with a passion.
I don't know.
I
if-
couldn't dress like the other kids and do things that the other kids done, so didn't like it. Venus was a junior when she quit, got married.
I think Dad went till 9th grade.
Well, he started twice. Homer went, I think, twice. They started their freshman year twice.
We all had a chance to go, you know.
Now, Grandpa, you said, only went through the 3rd grade. Did Grandma go to school?
Yeah.
Fifth
She
grade.
went to the 5th grade. As kids, you didn't go to church that often.
I probably went to church more than
More than
any
any
of
of
them.
us.
I was just wondering why
That's-
Uncle Virgil felt that he was called to the ministry.
Yeah, I'd say
Well,
him and I
because-
went to church more, wouldn't you?
Because he got acquainted with Arlene.
Yeah, I went with the preacher's daughter.
Yeah. That's how come he went, Mike.
Oh, we went to church though before.
I never did go to church too much.
Dad
Chock
always
full of
supported
candy.
the church. He said that he would hate to live in a community where it didn't have a church. That was very important to Mom. Every time one of us kids had quit school,
She felt
she
bad
wanted
about
it.
it.
Oh yes, Dad more or less needed the help, you
Yeah.
know, around the farm.
That's
So,
why he said you either
but-
go to school or you work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 You know,
Whenever I
he'd
went-
always have a job for you if you was home.
Dad
But,
always shucked corn in a wagon, bun rack, had a board drilled around the bun rack. And I can remember staying home from school till just so I'd get to school. I'd drive the car to school. I'd help him shuck corn till it was time to go to Bath to go to high school, and then I'd go to school.
I remember stopping by.
Every Saturday, that was either you cut wood or you shuck corn. Dad, when in ration time when he was first married, why, he shucked corn for Henry Epkin for 30 days straight. And he averaged 100 bushel a day. And that was, he was a good corn shucker, Dad was.
He was just a good worker.